So, guys, it really does look like the scientist has found his formula. Paige, are you a believer in Bryson DeChambeau?
In the beefed up Bryson, I'm a believer without question. It's hard not to be. The numbers speak for themselves. And that's without considering the fact how difficult it is to try to gain that kind of muscle and make it translate. It's not just about the fact that he gained strength or gained mass, it's the fact that it actually translated into results. That's difficult to do. So for Bryson, it's not just about this week. It's not just about that day, that yesterday. But you saw the stats for the year, and when you look at the last four events of 2020 that he played in, he was first, fourth, third, and third in strokes gained off of the tee. This is a trend. Looks like it's here to stay. So I'm a believer.
I am too. After yesterday, I was concerned, but Bryson the Beefcake is really playing really good golf and hitting it great off the tee. I've seen players really go off, really lose their game by one, changing their body, and two, chasing speed. He's done both, and he's done both twice. He's had two kind of off seasons, and he has transformed his body twice, and he has tried to pick up speed twice. And I thought for sure, this is not going to work. I've seen it fail so many times, but yet he somehow makes it work. The thing is, though, I do not believe that it's going to send other players to the gym any more than other players started using one-length irons that are super upright. He just does things his own way. He can do things completely differently, but his formula really doesn't work for most golfers.
It is amazing, Robert. Some players chase distance and lose their swing, and some actually end up hitting the ball shorter when they try to chase distance. Here's Bryson. He's beefed up his body. He's gotten longer off the tee and more accurate. Scoring average is now lower. And think about what we see at PGA Tour events week to week. It's a bomb and gouge era still. It's about hitting the ball as far down the fairway you can. If you end up in the rough, you still rather have a wedge from the rough than a 6-iron from the fairway. And that's the formula that Bryson DeChambeau has come up with. And how often have we seen someone absolutely, out driving Dustin Johnson all day? Don't see that very often.
And I think that we can really start to see a tipping point in what the next generation of golfer is going to look like. We've seen it over the last 30 to 40 years, how the introduction of working out in the gym has changed the golfer into more athletic. But I think based on the results that Bryson has gotten, I don't think a lot of tour pros are going to go into the gym and do much more bulking up. But I think junior golfers might be looking at this. I think that the serious juniors could be looking at this as a recipe of how they can get stronger and better. And with their growing bodies, it might be a possibility. I don't know, but I certainly think there's something here that we should watch as far as a trend line for the next 20 or 30 years.
It is an interesting point, though, Paige, because it goes without saying, golf is a game that lends itself to all body shapes and sizes, heights. We've seen some of the greatest champions. They don't exactly look like athletes, but it is a change that we're seeing in the game. We saw some huge gains with Annika Sorenstam when she hit the gym. Tiger Woods, Gary Player, I know is obviously a huge flag waver for his gym work. But Robert, do you think this is something that we will see in future generations? Those players, particularly looking at Bryson DeChambeau and the gains that he has had and wanting to emulate what he's been able to achieve?
Well, yeah, there's a difference in younger players now who can do it over time and players that are already established on tour that look at what he's done and say, hey, I want to get longer also, which we all do, let's face it. And I'm going to do it exactly the way Bryson does it. I don't think anyone's going to try to do it exactly the way Bryson's done it that's already established. But in a longer time span, sure, I think it's a great thing for younger players that say, I want to be on the PGA Tour. Distance off the tee and accuracy, but distance mostly, are very important. So I'm going to get out there and I'm going to make that my goal. And sure, that can certainly happen. But I don't see Chesson Hadley running to the gym just yet.
I'm with you, Robert. This still feels very Bryson specific to me. If he starts winning tournaments with this body at a serious clip, then we'll have this conversation again. And let's not forget, he'd have 3 straight top 5 finishes going into this long break. So he's continued to play well. and perform well with this body. But I think he'd have to start having some transcendent victories before other people really start to follow him into the gym.
Yeah, but I think, Damon, what it does is it actually changes the perceptive. And I think it will change the argument that people have been making for the last decade that bigger mass is going to translate to restricted mobility and things like that. I've never bought into it. I've thought it was completely false, but at least now maybe the argument will fall away because you can see somebody that's gotten bigger that can maintain that mobility and that flexibility. And I think that's important to note because a lot of people were saying that's not able to happen when you do start to gain mass.
Oh, no question. And I think folks are doing it in different ways, whether it's Phil Mickelson losing weight or Bryson DeChambeau gaining weight. But you're right. The history of the game has been written that if you got too big, you were prone to injury. But that's another thing we have to pay attention to. This is the first chapter of this body change for Bryson DeChambeau. And John Cook was very pointed about his comments yesterday, wondering if Bryson's body would be fatigued, walking in 90-degree weather over 4 days at Colonial. I would look even farther down the calendar to see how Bryson's body holds up with this weight. This is the first chapter. It might even be the preface of this book in terms of what this is going to do to his body long term.
Well, let's be honest, Damon and Paige, Bryson's swing was never built on flexibility to begin with. The way he swings it actually probably carries this extra weight okay, more than, let's say, if a Phil went into the gym and really bulked up, or Fred Couples, somebody with a loose language swing. That being said, yes, I think for the most part, bulking up is debunked. You can do it and still play great golf. The strange thing is that with Bryson, he's done it in such a short span of time, yet still playing top-notch golf.